Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Pride. Happy Pride. Welcome to Sunday Empathy Workouts. We're so excited to be joined this week by Julie Rodgers, our special guest for the week. And of course, as always, so beautiful to see so many familiar faces back here from throughout the last 6 to 9 months of empathy workouts. We see some faces that we haven't seen in a long time here as well. Welcome, Mike. So some things may have flipped up just a little bit, but essentially the way we kick these off is with an icebreaker question for everyone to just get warmed up right away. Normally, we start in the happy hour or culture edition deck, but our goal with this very special Pride empathy workout is to get up into the human rights edition earlier. So, so we made some changes. So we're going to start with the question, when do you feel most secure? In honor of discussing and exploring creating safety for us all. Who can help us deepen the container by exploring this question, an answer to this question with us? When do you feel most secure? Well, we got a lot of veterans out there, so I'm leaving some space. I can model. I feel most secure. Actually, Justin, so I got you next. I'm so grateful. I've been traveling for about a week and a half. I went down south to Florida and got to see kind of firsthand what the country looks like in Southwest Florida, kind of more red country. And then I went back to New York that I left in September. And that city's starting to open up and it's starting to feel like its old pace again. And now I'm back here in my apartment here in Boston, and we unpacked some furniture and I got up and I had my morning routine, and I feel really secure in my space and alongside my wife Caroline, and I just feel really safe and grounded here, and it's a blessing.
Hey, happy Sunday, guys. Nobody else was raising their hand. I figured I'd go. I feel my answer has shifted, Michael, since we started doing these. When I first started and I got that question, it was when I was surrounded by people I love and my close friends and family. I feel very secure. And I've spent the last 6 weeks alone in a cabin in the woods. And now that answer is I feel most secure when I just connect with myself, when I go deep and I connect with my soul. And it feels so much better to not need the other people anymore. So this was huge for me. So Brad, that's when I feel most secure, is just when I take the time to check in with myself and ground and connect with my soul.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing with us that contrast and that progression and letting us hear some of those wind chimes you got in the background. Sounds like a pretty good place to connect with yourself, Justin. Anyone else want to give this a go?
I'll jump in. When I first heard the question, it went to my mind because I've heard it many times before playing the game. And I went to freedom when I'm free. And then my heart took over and it's like choosing, because freedom is not just a state of being, it's a choice each time. So that alignment happened, and so everybody.
Thank you, Adderall, calling in from, I just happen to know because we were texting earlier, calling in from, where's that, Belize?
Yeah, Scales Point, Belize.
Nice, getting the international representation. All right, y'all. Well, the container is open. Welcome to Empathy Workouts. We're going to continue on this exploration of creating safety for us all here on this beautiful first weekend of Pride. Julie, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to hand it off to Megan Lee Joy.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, hi, you guys. We are so excited to have Julie with us today for our beautiful theme of championing LGBTQ safety and freedom. And for this beautiful interview, I'm going to bring up our host, Sid, to rock it.
Hello. Oh, hi. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thank you so much again for joining us on this wonderful and very steamy Sunday. It's hot. It's hot outside in New York City. The streets are boiling. So I'm happy I'm inside. Julie, where's Julie? Yeah.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. Happy Pride, folks.
Happy Pride. Honestly, I'm so excited that you are here and communing with us. This is such a wonderful opportunity for us to just be together and to discuss what it means to have pride and to be a part of this moment, so thank you for joining us today.
It is such a joy to be here.
Yes. How are you feeling?
You know what? Okay, I'm feeling warm.
Okay.
It is nice and steamy here in Washington, D.C. I'm also leaving in like 45 minutes to go to Union Station to get on a train to New York. And I'll be gone for 2 weeks. So this is the first time that I've taken like a long trip in a very, very long time. So I'm a little like frazzled, but also really, really grateful to be here and to just see this sort of space that you all have created in the way that you show up. And that I can even like start this conversation by saying, hey, I feel a little frazzled.
That's
and
great.
It feels like
That's
a safe space for that,
Right. We appreciate your honesty and authenticity as well. It's not easy to come on here and open with your authentic feelings. So thank you for that. And thank you for trusting us. Can you give us a little bit of background on who you are, Julie? Let us know and inform us on who you are. It's very base level, and then we'll get into those questions.
Totally. So I am, my name is Julie Rodgers. I am a mom to 4 cats and a wife to this incredible woman named Amanda Height. And we live in Washington, D.C. We are building an incredible chosen family. We have our best friend is living with us right now for a while. That's why we have 4 cats. And our 2 of our best friends are neighbors in the same building, and we became godparents over the course of the pandemic to their 2 little boys, which is like the cutest thing ever. So I'm living a pretty full life on the other side of a lot of trauma and challenges working through my faith and sexuality. And so I'm writing some from that place of scars and not open wounds about my experience growing up gay in evangelical communities. And I have a book coming out in 2 weeks called Outlove. And so I'm excited to get to be here to sort of talk a little bit about some of that journey and a lot more about empathy and the ways that experience has sort of formed me into a person who is really like, I think I'm a lot more tenderhearted and compassionate because of those challenges.
Wow. I mean, wow. Number one, wow, because I also come from a background of my family. I grew up Christian essentially, and I'm much more spiritual now. But what I guess I would like to ask you, what in your life, or can you touch upon what you've learned from this journey thus far with your faith and just overall, your sexuality and identity? If you can touch upon that before we dive in even further, I'd love to hear what that experience has been like for you.
Yeah, so I grew up in a really conservative evangelical community in Texas. And I knew from a very young age that I was different. And I knew by the time I was like 14 that that different was included me being gay. And I had grown up in a context where, like, you know, it was around the time of like Jerry Falwell and the rise of the religious right, and my mom listened to like James Dobson and Focus on the Family, and she was like all about that sort of like far right media and religious teaching. So she had a lot of fear around LGBT people, and like maybe quit softball so I wouldn't become gay. So that doesn't work. And you know, it's just always like, look at those dykes, like in their sweater vests. Like, I think that's how they signal to each other they're gay. They wear sweater vests. So I'm like, oh man, don't wear sweater vests. Like, don't play softball. Like, don't be gay. And you can imagine, you know, as a kid who wanted so badly to be good, I wanted God to love me. I wanted my family to like me. And I really wanted to be good. So it was devastating and completely gut-wrenching to get to puberty and to find that I was that very thing that my mom had said and so many Christian leaders in my community had said was so disgusting. I came out at the age of 16, and my parents both assured me that they love me. And I think it's been one of the things that's been really important to me to hold on to throughout this whole journey is parents love their kids. They're out here trying to do what's best. And what their leaders in their community told them was best was to take me to an organization that was essentially Christian conversion therapy that sort of helped walk with gay people toward freedom from homosexuality. So essentially to become straight, which is a really, you know, widely discredited and harmful practice that many people don't realize is ongoing today. The conversion therapy is alive and thriving in so many religious communities. So I was a part of that for almost 10 years, trying to give my all to become straight, because like I said, I wanted God to love me. I wanted my family to be proud of me, and I wanted to be good. And I was taught the good kids weren't gay. Over that time, you know, of eventually coming to this place of realizing I am still gay, and I'm seeing how this teaching is causing so much harm and so much devastation in my friends, like other queer people, seeing how that teaching that made them feel disgusting, that made them feel like God didn't love them, and that made them feel that sense of shame. It led to so much addiction and self-harm. Many of us were self-harming. And I got to a place where I realized like that God delighted in the queer people in my life, and that I was really like, I felt this sense of joy and delight whenever they would come to accept themselves and allow themselves to express that love freely. And I just began to see the beauty and the resilience of the LGBT community. And I mean, I think one of the coolest things, I'll share this quick story to sort of bridge over your question, and then we can open up to more. But there was a period sort of in between my time in conversion therapy, realizing I couldn't become straight. There was a little period, a couple of years before I came to really accept myself as like a fully lesbian person who can like date women and like have sex with women and marry women, like all of that. So in that period, I was like, I'm going to just commit to lifelong singleness and celibacy. I'll just like never like express my gayness. That's what I'll do. And I ended up in this role in the chaplain's office at an evangelical college. It's called Wheaton College outside of Chicago. And I was working, I was like sort of kind of like a cross between like a counselor and a minister that was just there to provide a safe place for students, mainly queer students who were struggling. And so I found that at first in that job, queer students would come to me and talk about like, they would come out to somebody for the first time in their lives, and they would be like breaking out in hives. And they're just like, there was one student who broke out in hives and was just like, this happens sometimes when I'm really, really scared and when I feel really, really overwhelmed. And I was able to sort of like create a safe place for those students. And then over time, I started seeing that like Black students would show up in my office at this overwhelmingly white institution and say like, it is so hard being Black at this college where I feel like people don't understand me. And there's just this like low key discrimination every single day. And I thought like, maybe you might understand because you're like gay. And people felt safe to come to me with their like doubts because they didn't feel like a good enough Christian because they didn't just believe. Or students would come to me with their eating be like, I can finally talk to somebody about my eating disorder because you're gay. And I'm like, yes, actually, this makes sense. And it was just really cool to see how over time, the more that I sort of experienced a sort of healing and acceptance, the more I found that the thing that made me feel so different and so shameful throughout so much of my like childhood and teenage years and 20s became this source of connection with other people in their like deepest places, their raw places, where I could meet them there and like really be a source of like healing and acceptance and love for them. And so that's been one of the most extraordinary and moving parts, I think, of my story.
Oh man, oh sheesh. Like I'm already crying because that is just so powerful to hear someone who is also queer and, you know, has had to struggle and find safety in so many spaces. Safety was not allocated to me or even, you know, thank you for doing the work you're doing, number one, for holding space for people, because that's not very easy, especially knowing what you've been through. Something I'd like to ask you, you know, you've been taught a lot of different things about who you're supposed to be or what yours or how you should even just exist. So what's one thing that you feel has been omitted from your education that you wish you would have had? You know, that's a lot as well already. There's so many things that are already omitted.
I think one thing that comes to mind is, you know, coming from the background, a really like conservative evangelical background. My mom homeschooled me all the way till high school. So I like wouldn't be around like the gays and science teachers. And so there's some big gaps in my education. But I found that because I, you know, what I needed from people in my life, like straight folks in my life, was for them to encounter me with some sense of curiosity and openness, and like for them to believe me when I told them about my experience and I told them about like my intentions being for good. And I found that like that sort of my experience and that you know, growing up hearing such lies about the queer community from those leaders in my community really made me stop and see that they were likely ignorant, for lack of a better word. There was some ignorance, there was some misunderstanding about other people that they spoke about as well. And so I think it just set me up to say, hey, whenever somebody, especially somebody in a vulnerable place or somebody who's experiencing violence or suffering of any kind, whenever they tell me that and it doesn't match up with my experience, there's a good chance that it's because I haven't experienced the world the way they have, and that they're right and I'm wrong. Or you know, I think like I was much more inclined to say like take interactions between like the police and Black folks. Like I've never had a violent encounter with a police officer or felt like, you know, threatened when in the presence of a police officer, but that's probably because I'm white. And it made me say, hey, I believe that that's happening among Black folks, and I don't need to see that to believe it. Just because I think I'm able to make some of those parallels from my own experience.
Wow, I wish more people understood that. Just small sentiment, so important. What have you noticed moves people to connect to their humanity?
To their humanity. I think, you know, it's a question of like, I was gonna say, is it connecting and seeing the humanity in others that puts them in touch with their own humanity? Or is it the other way around, that the more we're in touch with our own humanity, the more we can really truly see and connect with humanity in others? I'm not sure which way it goes, but I know that both of those practices and processes expand our capacity for love and compassion and connection. And I think they're both vital to human flourishing.
I really needed this conversation. You know, it's so funny. I think about that, and it's the way we all connect to each other as well, and trying to find, you know, what does humanity even need these days? Something I'm still discovering on an everyday basis. How have you used that along in your journey? I think already just you explaining how you were at Wheaton, you were already curious and being supportive, and what your support led to. So I guess I wonder, you know, what does that mean for you? What does curiosity and empathy mean on your journey thus far?
I think it gives me a sense of, you know, when I think about sort of the process of becoming, like, who I am now is like, I'm probably going to look back on who I am now in 5 years and be like, oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. Like, I can't believe I wrote that. Like, you know, and that's actually a good and beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to change and to grow. And I hope that me 10 years from now isn't looking back at the things that I say and everything I say and do now, just like, oh yeah, she had it all together then. Because that'll mean I was pretty stagnant for a long time. And so I want to stay curious to all that I don't know, and curious to things that maybe even feel a little scary or threatening right now, trusting that that's going to be that, you know, this continued process of learning and growing is vital to my process of becoming a more whole, healthy human being. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Being open to unfolding. One of my favorite quotes from The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. It's part of the reason why I got my tattoo, this one. It's the soul unfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals. And we are continuously unfolding and finding ourselves. And so truly commend you for taking a chance on yourself, for being authentic to yourself as well. You know, that's not easy, especially when we're living in a world where people are constantly telling us who to be, how to be, and what we should be. I think it's so beautiful, and I'm so grateful to be here today with you, and just to be in this community and holding each other and holding space. I can't wait to read your book, Outlove. I think that is just so exciting.
Thank you.
Really, really, really just, again, pride and proud to know that there are people within my community who are doing this and just being amazing humans, first and foremost.
Thank you. You know, it's so exciting to remember that people can change. Like, we've all changed and we've all grown, and we have come to see things in a different light when we've encountered another human being or story that challenges our assumptions. And so I think, you know, in this time of, you know, in these MAGA days and then all of these social anxieties that we see, it fills me with a lot of hope and a sense of possibility to remember that I've changed. And I've seen other people in my own communities who had a lot of fear or a lot of misunderstanding encounter an honest person and story and change as a result. And so I'm just full of hope today, and I'm excited to see, you know, what's going to come from, you know, all of us, like, continuing to show up to ourselves and our people with authenticity and a sense of love and compassion. I'm so excited to see what can come of that.
Someone had just asked, I'll ask this really quickly for you. Ivy, are you still in the church, Julie?
I am. I'm still really moved by sort of the overall Christian themes of practicing, you know, forgiveness, practicing humility, and just the sense of the space for reflection in so many religious communities. And I would say I'm now like a Christian with a lot more room for mystery. So I am much less interested in any sort of answers. I don't know near as much as I thought I knew, you know, 5-10 years ago. But I feel like some of the really open, accepting Christian communities that I found have helped form me into a person who is motivated and moved to grow in love and compassion and kindness. And so as long as that's the fruit of any faith communities that I'm a part of, then I'll keep showing up for it.
And showing up is the most important thing. Continue to show up. Like everybody here, you know, we're always showing up for each other in so many ways. And so grateful. Julie, I know you have to get the heck up out of here. Thank you so much. Thank you. If there's any last things you would like to say, please.
I just want to say thank you for creating this space, and thank you for, you know, being the kind of, thank you for creating this environment that encourages curiosity and empathy and compassion and kindness. Like, this is just such a warm space, and it really encourages and inspires me as I'm heading into a wild couple months with the book and the documentary. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Everyone, please give it up for Julie. That was excellent.
Cheers, friends.
We're gonna move now into our grounding. Bye, Julie. We're gonna move into our grounding with Megan Lee Joy. Everyone.
Oh, hello, you guys. Welcome, welcome. I'm gonna have you listen to your body for a moment, whatever that means for you. Close your eyes. Focus on the area around your heart. Taking a deep breath in that fills up your belly, fills up to the back of your spine. Holding it at the top and releasing. And again, taking a deep breath in, filling your whole entire body up with love, intentional love, filling every space within you, holding it at the top, and releasing out. Allowing yourself to melt into the space around you. Feeling your body physically kind of become one with your chair, with your bed, with the space. And I want you to embody joy for a moment. Feel it as a flicker in the middle of your torso, right above your belly button. Feeling this little ball of energy. Maybe it just sparked a little bit of hunger inside of you. I want you to feel this spark of joy. And I want you to allow it to grow bigger with each moment, a little bit bigger, a little bit more powerful, a little bit more energizing. Perhaps you feel it moving up your torso into your neck, into that beautiful head of yours, down your arms, like little lightning bolts of joy, moving all around your hips, releasing anything and everything that is not serving you from your root chakra, that is missing within you the safety that you get to feel. We are clearing out your root, that space where your safety lives within your body, within your life. We are filling that root chakra with love, with joy, with electric joy, moving energy down your legs, down your knees, till you feel it shoot out your feet, and you are releasing anything that is not serving you back into Mother Earth. And the earth gets to use it as nutrients. She gets to recycle everything that is not for you into something that works, into something that is light. You get to embody the wisdom and the learnings of what might feel heavy. And you get to release the heaviness of it all. Again, coming back into your body full of that electric joy, whether it's just a slight pulse, whether it's a huge thumping within your heart. I want you to take a deep breath in into your heart space, holding it at the top, and release. Once more, deep breath in, filling with that love, filling with that joy, creating that lightness, holding it at the top, and releasing with a sound. Once more, we're going to release it with a sound and some body movement. We're going to really get into it. Deep breath in. Biggest one yet. Keep sucking it in. You got this, one more time. And we're going to release. Shake it out. Get that tongue out of your mouth. Shake it. Woo! All right, if your eyes are not already open, you can open them up. Thank you, you guys, for going on that journey with me. And now we have been slowly leveling up through our deck of cards, words, through the original Actually Curious gameplay. We started with a blue question at the very beginning. We moved to a green question in our interview, and now Rebecca is going to start us on a yellow question so we can actually get into our Human Rights Edition questions and really just level up in this experience.
We're playing Empathy Workout, the Necessary Conversations version, using our Curiosity Edition and the new Human Rights Edition. So we will be starting, as Megan said, at the yellow level of Curiosity Edition. We're exploring ourselves, and we're going into the Human Rights Edition. We'll want 3 volunteers to start. You can raise your hand, use the chat, or use the raise hand function to participate, and we'll discuss each question for a few minutes. So we did blue and green. So the first question is, how do you love? I'll type it in the chat too. How do you love?
I'll share.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna go and I nominate Mike too. So I love by being honest, by sharing truth. I think in a lot of ways that's very difficult. So I always try my best to move from a place of authenticity and honesty so that people can, make the best choices for themselves. Yeah.
So relatable. The best policy.
I am trying to listen more, which is really, really hard for me because I want to talk all the time. So I'm gonna pass on the nomination. Maybe I love by changing. I am not passing. See, I'm still talking. By being open to new things. By being open.
That's a wonderful answer. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Okay. One more person. How do you love?
I love by not being a judgy bear, because nobody enjoys that. And even my friends tell me things, I'm like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. I don't judge them. If I think it's really dangerous, I'm like, is that in alignment with your values? But judgment is not anybody's friend. So
Definitely not. Thank you for not being a judgy bear. Thanks, Ruby. Okay. Leveling up to pink. You guys ready? Okay. Can violence ever be justified? In what circumstances? For me, kind of reminds me of, Stonewall. The first Pride was essentially a riot protest. So can violence ever be justified in what circumstances?
Over the course of the last year and the last 9 months of empathy workouts, my opinion, my views, my heart on this has moved a lot. I definitely have been more into the camp of finding the authentic arguments within myself to say that violence can't ever be justified, because you can't, then it would be that you just can't undo this cycle of hurt and trauma with more hurt and trauma. But as I was taking this moment, this Pride Month, and slowing down and not just, jumping into a hall. No, but I guess I'm really grateful. Sometimes I scoff at moments that get commercialized. But I'm excited that this moment has brought me the time and presence and awareness to go back into the history of why Pride started, and to acknowledge that at times the only thing that people respond to when change is necessary is violence. And so I'm back to this place of sadness, and I can feel my heart breaking and tears coming up, and sometimes that's an emotion that one has to feel in order to and feel through and work your way through in order to create change. So right now I'm back into the camp that there are times where the dark is necessary in order to bring about the light.
Thank you. Before today, I would have said probably violence is not the answer, but I got 2 messages today. One from the home in which I'm staying in Belize, which was there was this fly that bites you, and once it gets your flesh, it keeps coming back to you. So the sooner that you kill it, the better. And so I let this fly land on me a couple of times yesterday, and I was just kind of trying to, shoo it away. And sure enough, I have these big red welts all over my body right now from the bite. So today I killed the bitch, right? And killed him actually. And then the other message came from as I was listening to TD Jakes this morning. He had a guest speaker, and the message was, "I will not go down without a fight." And he talked about Joshua chapter 11, verse 1 through 9, and how God gave a message to Joshua to hamstring the horses and burn the chariots, to defeat the enemy and to attack them first, not be attacked. So that just resonated a bit. If you know that you're under attack and about to get your ass beat, don't fucking sit there. Don't go down without a fight. And so it's about the balance of it all, of knowing when to choose the discernment that I guess I look for strength in these days.
Thank you. Is everyone ready? This is from the Human Rights Edition, and we are leveling up again. I will be a better ally to queer, transgendered, and gender nonconforming folks by blank.
I'll go.
Okay.
The first thing that came to me was listening. And the second thing that came to me was educating myself on my own. What crazy ideas. And I think this was something that was really brought to us during 2020 with all of the social rights movements. It's not anyone else's job to educate you but yourself. And you are always in a space of education. None of us ever know anything ever. And so finding that curiosity with empathy, while also, and I would say educating yourself is a form of listening as well. So broad picture on all bases, listening.
Absolutely. We do have those tools at hand to do the research, and in that you're already being a better ally. So that's definitely an area that I can work on too. I have a newly non-binary sibling, and every time that I misgender them, I feel so much shame. But it's from 26 years of just that routine of calling them my brother, and that's not who their true self is. So I've been doing my best to educate myself so that I can do better. I think that we can always do better. Getting emotional. Okay, Ivy.
I think that I will do this by bringing my authentic self to all situations. And that's not something that I've always done. I was 65 years old before I was able to see myself as a non-binary person, and to live a life as an open trans person is can be a difficult thing, especially when you're living in the South, especially when you're newly living in the South and have no idea about how to live in the South. So bringing my authentic self to all situations. And that's important because I'm a facilitator for lots of conversations, in race, gender, religion, all kinds of, facilitator for all of these kinds of discussions. So it's really important for me to do that. So that's what I will be doing.
It's so great that you can be your authentic self, even later in life. It's so important that you have that space. I'm glad that you're here with us today to share that. Thank you, Ivy.
Hi. Okay, this is quite the question, the way that it's worded is quite funny because it's asking how will I be a better ally? And I definitely used to be one of those queer people who think that they're an ally and haven't quite yet accepted it, or haven't stopped lying to themselves. And I had to say something because I got triggered by the word authentic or authenticity, because something that I know that I can do to even help those in my community is by being my authentic self, because then giving myself permission to be myself gives other people permission to be themselves. And that's so like, that has been so important to me the past year, about being myself and accepting it and being unapologetic. So I
That's great. Yes, Seren.
Thank you to everyone who has shared already. I would just like to be a more vocal. I feel like I'm a very open and accepting person, and make that known to my 3 school-age children. I have kids who are 12, 15, and almost 17. But in hearing Julie describe, some of the actions and sentiments of her mother is just very, very heartbreaking to me. So even though I may say to my children, of course, that I'm very open and, accepting of their choices and who they truly are, I don't think that's enough. I want to be more open to kids that may not have that within their own family, and just be the mama bear that someone else may need, that really needs, who may not have grown up with that. So I'm not 100% sure how to do that, but just to be a little bit more vocal in knowing that that I love you no matter who you are.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Justin.
Hey, yeah, I agree with Jennifer. I get to be more vocal. I think a lot of the people that need the convincing and the opening of perspective, they don't necessarily want to listen to the people that are telling them that. Does that make sense? I'm talking about racist heterosexual white males. Like, they are not going to listen to minorities or women on this regard. And I think as a heterosexual white male, I get to be like, hey, stop what you're fucking doing. I think we get to be more vocal. I think we get to hold people of our similar type more accountable. I get to, speaking from her.
Wish we can go on and on and on. This has been really beautiful. Thank you all.
I just want to just take a moment to express gratitude for the bravery and willingness of everyone who has joined these spaces over the last 9 months of creating empathy workouts, and taking Sundays at 2, all the beautiful, everyone who's even come to one of these, even this is your first, you help create the space. Your sharing energizes other people to continue exploring what it's like to bring these difficult conversations out into the open, and to heal together. So much of what Julie was sharing about her own journey and how she uses her platform as a storyteller and as an educator just ended up being, even some of the keywords she was saying, and kindness and compassion and trust. It was almost as though we were writing from the same values brief. And that's I don't know, I just wanted to take a moment to express really deep gratitude. Jennifer, when you said being more vocal, this is a topic that I didn't grow up getting to learn about or speak about or to explore. And when we created Actually Curious to help explore biases, I knew that this was an area that I needed help. It wasn't and for my part, I think I've come a long way, but I've got a fucking long way still to go. And every inch that I take further, I'm using my owning of my biases, my owning of my growth, my owning of how hard it is, and the new things, owning that to model that it's okay. Because like, it's okay to change. It's okay to recognize something in yourself and change. It's okay to recognize something in someone else and have hope or compassion that they might change too. Because if we lose that, then we're kind of stuck. So I just wanted to take a moment to honor you all. Julie's not here, but I'm sending like mad gratitude energy her way. And then with that, let's go into these announcements here real quick. So today, I'm not sure what the number is, but there's been a lot. We're gonna go ahead and take a break on empathy workouts. There's been a really long way of being able to be more vocal and be more open and to hold space regularly. But in order to continue this movement, we need to once again take a bit of a recharge and regroup. So we're going to go ahead and take a break until August. But with that space, we're also creating new opportunities to widen the tent and bring more people in. One of those opportunities is an event that we're doing on Juneteenth weekend, or on Juneteenth, on the 19th of June, alongside two powerhouse women of color who are both wellness and lifestyle thought leaders, as well as people who've used their platform to broaden the tent for anti-racism. And they've created a really compelling platform. We've gone ahead and mashed up their activism, anti-racism platform with empathy workouts to create an experience on Juneteenth, where we're going to celebrate the freedom that we are so privileged to have, as many have noted here, but that we're also so privileged to fight for. And we're hoping to use this platform to reach a more mainstream audience, as well as connect with our existing friends and family. So if you have time that weekend, you're looking for an exciting way, a new way to strengthen your empathy muscle, strengthen your learning on anti-racism, and also play with new modalities of taking those people who are further away from this movement and bringing them closer to it. This would be a great event to attend. And finally, last announcement for now, we have opened up our second cohort of facilitation training, which will be held on Wednesday, 7/7. I did not realize that, but a little angel number action in there, Wednesday, 7/7. And the goal of that is to bring more leaders like many of you all. I know actually there's several people who were part of the first cohort. We are excited to continue this movement on, but we can't do it alone. And so this training will allow you to be, potentially a part of facilitating empathy workouts when we bring them back, be a part of facilitating alongside us when we bring this work into corporate settings, academia, into nonprofits, which has been happening a lot more. And we are excited to continue training new folks in what it looks like to hold space for these difficult but very, very necessary conversations for the growth that we envision in this country and world. And with that, it brings us to our intention for the week, which is starting with that building block of authenticity and love within yourself. I celebrate my authentic self and hold compassion for others. When you are free, when you have that love for yourself, like no one can take that away. And it gives you a bit more of a cup to be able to confront those issues and to spread that love and to help confront the trauma that creates this continuation of need for healing. And that brings us to the end for now. Y'all, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing your voice to this story. Really excited to see you all down the line. Justin, thank you. Seren, Jennifer, Claudia, thank you once again. Ivy, thank you for sharing your story today. Who did I miss? Beth, what's up, Beth? Aderl, Synead, thank you for juggling and helping facilitate that discussion. Caroline, Ruby, Molly, Sonali, Qualms. That's a wrap, y'all.
Have a good summer. See you on the other side.
Thank you, Mike.
See you guys over the summer. See y'all, folks.
Bye, everyone. Be well.